Alright, random character builds time. On Twitter, over there, Gandhi Gun Gaming at Twitter, um, put out a. I'll put a link down in the doobly doo, and I was asking for either a character, as in a personality and a background you've got for sort of the kind of character you put in a book, and you're looking for a class build for that, or a class build and you're looking for a the other kind of character for that. You're looking for their background, personality, why they are the way they are, kind of thing, or a miniature. I do that sometimes, where if I get a miniature, I'll just grab one and say, "Who's this? Uh, who's this? Who's this? Oh, this is a well armored big old sword wielding half orc. So that is a half orc paladin, and that dude's gonna be interesting to write up. So that's kind of the examples that I was giving, and I've got one response so far. Make sure I got handles and stuff from Christopher Jackson at Scraps McGee. Good times. The loaded up with three. So let's just run through all three. So first is a gnome artificer who carries his workshop around inside his handy haversack. So for that's sort of like the personality. Worked out a. You're gonna want to be a rock gnome. They get tinkerer stuff anyways. Great stat bonuses too. +2 intelligence, +1 constitution. Makes for pretty solid kind of caster character. Now I don't actually own the Eberron book, so I get a chance to really read through it. But shout out Dabby Chappy, put out a cool little summary guide for anybody interested. So I went with Guild Artisan and picked Tinkerer. I didn't actually look and see if that was one of the listed options, but I think a DM would be cool with it. So as a profession, as a Tinkerer, traveling, and they got the Artificer gets the thing where they can make magic items essentially. So you're going to be looking to get to that level where you can make a handy haversack if you can't get a hold of one through your DM. The shop is just mundane gear, your tools and then random stuff. I went with Narswal Springlepop. I like weird names on gnomes. I think it's funny. I know it's a trope at this point, but it's it's a fun one. So we got a rock gnome, guild artisan, probably artillerist, a little dude that can make a big magic gun. It's always funny. But yeah, that's that guy. So we've also got a build of a human barbarian with magic initiate, specifically for vicious mockery. So who is this guy? What's he doing? So what I've got for him, I think this is my favorite of the ones, is Albert Ladinon. Set up as a criminal background. So the whole idea is this guy, through his human flexibility of his variant feat, has picked up magic initiate. Went for bard spells to pick up vicious mockery. I also put in message because you get 2 cantrips. So vicious mockery and message, and he purely uses those to mess with marks as a criminal background. So he's looking out at the town square, picking somebody out, whispering that message to them. Hey, that coat doesn't go with those shoes. It's just like, oh, ew, what? And it'll get more and more vicious until it gets to the point where you're actually doing a vicious mockery, causing them damage. And it's just to provoke them to chase him. And he makes a run for it, but leads them back into back alleys. And if he's accidentally bitten off more than he can chew, there's a bunch of guards. There's, that whoever you were targeting as some backup. Pick out the Disguise Self spell. You can use it once a day through Magic Initiate. Use that. Different person walking away. I think you've got Deception and Stealth through the criminal background anyways. So that's a great way to just oh, I'm just an old man walking through. That ruffian went that way. That's a fun little background on a character. That that's a cool idea. Barbarian, as in he's a sort of a street barbarian. Definitely the tough guy of the Thieves Guild. Able to take a punch. So I think that's a really cool build. This guy would you could go either the loner route. I mean, all of this works solo, and he could be getting tied in with the group proper because he's gotten one of his little schemes didn't go right. A guard noticed the disguise when he had bit off too much and got a hold of him, and now he's in jail and his term is coming up, but the guards don't want to release him out into the public, and so you gotta put him in the it's like this, he needs some sort of actual profession, or at least to go adventuring, get out of our hair. So that's probably where I would go with that plot wise. If he's on the streets as a criminal, he probably doesn't have a lot of like family options. So there's it's a bit overused sometimes to be the D&D character with like, I have no parents, no siblings, no loved ones. That's just me. Please, DM, don't tug on my heartstrings with people. I don't want you to kill my made up family. You can avoid that. But for this guy, it's probably appropriate. He's got his whole build is to be kind of a loner to get marks. It's something he's probably figured out from when he was a kid. If he does have parents, he might have probably an estranged father who's a bard, would make sense. Who flip that around. Could be the mom is a bard and trusted her lover to raise their child, and went off to do entertaining and things. You could work in a backstory with your DM of the big bad guy of the campaign sent a fake letter to the mom because it's one of her admirers and was jealous of his father. Got his father killed in a thing, and then just shoved the son aside into like an orphanage until the Thieves Guild picked him up. So the mom's out there doing her own adventuring and performing and things, thinking, whatever you want to work out with, either thinking that they had both been killed in whatever situation killed the father, or that everything's fine. But at some point she comes back to the house they had and you're not there. So yeah, there's a lot to chew on with that one. So a lot of cool stuff on that. And then lastly, there was a miniature picture. I don't know if this will work if I try to put it up to the thing, and I do not know video editing that well to find another way to do it. So is that character right there. So it's a tiefling and has a little familiar, has a little magic coming out of the hand, not heavily armored, but you can't really see that well, but the hand is like reaching out and welcoming. So all that makes me think we're gonna go with L'Oreal for a name, and this is gonna be a tiefling warlock celestial pact. There's sort of an insinuated good nature going on, so I think it'd be fun to have that tiefling bloodline that is linked up with a celestial patron. And I'm going with a sage background, having them like an advisor to a duke or even a king, or some up the chain of nobility. Maybe not like the primary advisor, but maybe their understudy. And I would say that they would eventually go into the Pact of the Tome. The little familiar doesn't look like a sprite or a pseudo dragon or anything real special. It's just so probably going Pact of the Tome and picking up Find Familiar through that, so that they can get this little looks like a little dog familiar. Probably stat wise, probably the same as a cat. If DMs are poo-pooing on it, if it's not directly in the book, be like it's a cat, just call it a small dog. Yeah, it's fine. They get a bunch of extra cantrips, which can be good. And you get a lot of versatility, a lot of cool things you can do with that. I would need to check, but I'm pretty sure you can pick up Move Earth, which is always a good one. There's a lot of cool mechanical things you can do. But the Celestial Pact Warlock, you're going to be a healer. You're going to still have all your Eldritch Blast stuff to you know, sort of keep up damage-wise. With the Tome Pact, and you might need maybe take a feat at some point, but you're going to have ritual casting on par with a wizard. Not completely. Wizards are kind of, you know, the masters of that, but you're going to be pretty good. So you're going to be a good secondary character for anybody. Good at range. You'll have this familiar that you can use for scouting to help on that front. You're going to have a, you know, bunch of cantrips to help in versatility stuff, so helping with skill stuff and all that. And you just have a lot of flexibility. Warlocks are probably one of my favorite classes. They get pigeonholed into the Eldritch Blast stuff a lot, but I just sort of look at that as a side piece to say you always have this thing that makes you okay at combat, and you can now focus on all this breadth of options to customize a character to be exactly what you want. So that's what I've got on those. The you know, the Rock Gnome is pretty well built already. You know, it's all pretty straightforward on decisions on that. The Human Barbarian with a Magic Initiate feat is actually a really cool idea. Using those mocking cantrips and then damaging mocking cantrips at a range, luring them into a vulnerable situation, and then start the rage, go to town. Yeah, very cool idea on that. And, you know, Tiefling Warlocks are solid. Always good. So that's 3. I kind of meant for it to be a pick one kind of scenario, but it was fine. I didn't get a ton of responses. I got 1 response, which is disappointing, but that's fine. So, you know, like, share, subscribe if you feel like. This isn't part of my Tal'Dorei series. This is just a fun video. I'd love to do more of these. Probably shorter. These should be like 5 minutes at most. Probably more like 3 most of the time. But you know, we have 3 characters, so I don't feel that bad. But yeah, there we go. Next up, I think we'll do some Tal'Dorei game handout stuff. Resources. We'll call it resources. Sure. Tal'Dorei campaign resources. I know a main thing I've got is I have the flyer made for handing out to people as both a campaign introduction and you have all found this in your travels and are finding your way to the Adventuring Guild. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. So, till next time, leave a comment, especially if you've got another character prompt, and we can do infinity of these. There's no real limit. Yeah, we'll see you around. Have a good.